Good morning to you all. It's time for me to talk some politics. But before I do, remember to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you're kept up to date. And before I get started on the politics, if you notice there's a little bit of a red mark right here, I cut myself shaving last night. And when you get a little shaving cut, you nick yourself in the face shaving. Takes a little while for that to heal. So just thought I'd let you know from the get go, and I'll get started on the commentary at hand. Caitlyn Jenner, yeah, that's who I'm going to be talking about. So let's talk about California itself. California, and it's no, there are no strangers in that state to having celebrities as their governor. Ronald Reagan was the governor of California in the 1960s, early 70s. Um, Arnold Schwarzenegger was also the governor for a while back in the early 2000s. I think I don't exactly remember when. I guess maybe 2010, 2012 is when he stepped down, I'm guessing. That sounds about right. And now Caitlyn Jenner is thinking about running for governor. I'm not thinking. He is planning to run for governor. Now, there's been a recall over Governor Gavin Newsom. Now, I have my opinions on Gavin Newsom. I mean, he's the way he handled the COVID crisis, and just even aside from COVID, California is kind of a dysfunctional state right now, and uh, I do think that maybe conservatives beat up on the state too much because I'm gonna tell you, a lot of red states are dysfunctional as well. Um, I wouldn't want to live in. There's some red states I would not want to live in. I wouldn't want to live in Alabama or Mississippi, and I would love to visit California, but I wouldn't want to live in California. I would love to visit Texas, which is a red state, but I wouldn't want to live in Texas either. And it's so hard to believe that as somebody who observes California's liberalism and Texas conservatism, and I'm here in North Carolina. This is one of the few times I'm like, well, kind of glad to be in North Carolina in some ways. But I'm not beating up on California because I think that too many conservatives and right wingers beat up on that state way too much. There's problems in each state in this country. I mean, we're a dysfunctional society as it is, and I talk about why we are in many ways and what we can do about it with this channel. But getting back to California, apparently he's been pretty bad at his job, and so there's now an effort to recall his gubernatorialship, and so you'll have various candidates running. Now, I'm going to tell you about Gavin Newsom himself. My problem with Gavin Newsom is pretty much standard of what I find problematic about most Democrats. He's a corporate Democrat. He's pretty much a Democrat in the tradition of your Bill and Hillary Clinton types, your Bill and Hillary Clinton types, Joe Biden. Yeah, he's pretty much establishment all the way. And that would be my problem with him. Now, is he totally terrible? Apparently, he's socially liberal, which is a good thing, and he is opposed to the death penalty, which is a good thing. So, in those two regards, while I have my complaints about Gavin Newsom, those two things about Gavin Newsom are positive thumbs up as far as I'm concerned. Now, let's talk about Caitlyn Jenner. And we all know who Caitlyn Jenner is. Caitlyn Jenner um, she's kind of well known today as a transgender woman. But prior to that, she was born as Bruce Jenner, and we know Bruce Jenner from the Olympics in 1976 when he won the 1976 decathlon. And I remember as a young kid seeing him on the Wheaties cereal box, you know, that famous photo that it was on the cereal box as well. So he was a cultural icon in many ways, and and of course, also there was a TV show, I guess it's still on the air, called Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and on that program is about the life of Jenner's family. So Jenner's done very well for herself. But in 2015, Bruce Jenner was no longer Bruce Jenner, and Bruce Jenner became Caitlyn Jenner, and Caitlyn Jenner became kind of probably the most well-known transgender woman in America today. And the thing about it is that she's been a Republican all her life. I don't have a problem with her being a Republican. I'm not, as I said, I don't do identity politics. Just because you belong to a group that's marginalized doesn't mean you have to go and rubber stamp the politics of one side of the fence or the other. I mean, if Caitlyn Jenner wants to be a Republican, um, I'm sorry for her, but that's what she wishes for. So be it, I guess. She voted for Donald Trump again. You know, I guess if you're worth over $100 million, it doesn't matter that much. I guess as far as you, your status in life, and because if you're super wealthy, you're going to have more rights than the average person. Just how it is. Um, and I don't have a problem other than the bad political choice of voting for Donald Trump. I don't have a problem with her being quote unquote a fan of Donald Trump. Um, where I have problems with, again, I guess I don't have a problem with her basic conservatism when it comes to economic issues. I mean, I disagree with her. I disagree with her for being a Republican. I disagree with her for voting for Donald Trump twice. I disagree with her on across the board on the economics. But again, individuals are individuals, and whether you have $100 million in your bank account or you have $1 in your bank account. I mean, it doesn't matter what as far as individuals concerned. I wish that everybody were social democratic like myself, but the world don't swing that way. Individuals are individuals at the end of the day, and we all have to choose our ideologies, and and that's all I got to say about that. Now, my problem with her politically is that the fact that she's a transgender woman who is opposed to same-sex marriage, that doesn't make any sense. Or the fact that she is opposed to the idea of biologically born males that are now transitioning into females, of them getting involved with girls sports teams. And I disagree with that position as well. And it comes down to this. It comes down to equality. Equality is what counts. And if you're going through what it takes to transition yourself and you're taking your medication, getting accustomed, I don't think that there's going to be a problem with transgender females joining girls' sports teams. And numerically, if I don't want to sit there and excuse people intolerance, but I don't think, as far as the number of transgender young ladies entering female sports team, I don't think it's a very high percentage of them. So on a percentage basis, I will tell people in society who are on the fence about it to relax. It's not that big a deal, and life will go on, and everything will be fine. But my problem with Caitlyn Jenner was my problem with Tulsi Gabbard. When Tulsi Gabbard decided to become a turf, I kind of washed my hands from her, even though she's correct on anti-war issues and things like that. I was greatly disappointed with former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard. I, at the same time, am very disappointed, even more disappointed with Caitlyn Jenner in that regard, because if she's going to be a transgender woman, I mean, and a Republican at the same time, I just, I just, I would hope that she would at least have been a libertarian on this issue instead of a standard Republican. Because I can respect a conservative if they have libertarian leanings, but if they're going to be rubber stamping Heritage Foundation talking points oriented Republicans, I have to say, what the hell? But suffice to say, um, we'll see what happens if she becomes governor of California. Interestingly enough, I I would say would be Republicans in general. I could see some Republicans endorsing the idea of her running for governor, even if she doesn't win, as a public relations talking point in the culture war. I could see some of them saying, "Well, you see, we're not prejudiced. We're allowing a transgender individual to run for office as a Republican." I could see some of them doing that, or I could see some Republicans to be like, I ain't voting for that person. No way, no way." I mean, I could see the two, and the Republican Party is kind of funny is to see the Republican Party doing some soul searching on this issue. But anyway, for me, as a as an ugly heterosexual male, um, observing the race in California, where do I stand on Caitlyn Jenner potentially winning? It comes down to policy. It comes down to policy. If if she's not for basic social democratic ideas, um, I can't I can't endorse her. I mean, she, she should take it personally. Even though I almost voted for Joe Biden, at the same time, I felt like at the end of the day, Joe Biden is terrible on a across the board on these issues. He's like a normie Republican more than he is supposedly a Democrat. Sure, to the left of Donald Trump, but like a moderate Republican, like more like a slightly socially liberal Mitt Romney. Not acceptable. Not acceptable at all. And that's my take on Caitlyn Jenner. Policy wise, can't do it. Can't do it. I mean, like for example, when the Republicans were running in 2016, I mean Ben Carson that was running, the African American Republican, probably the nicest person up there running of all the candidates, all the crazies that were running up there. I mean, he he might actually been the nicest person up there of them all, but across the board, ideologically, can't support someone like Ben Carson either. Because while I think he might be a nice person, he is terrible on the political issues. Can't do it. Can't do it at all. So it just, as I said, it comes down to policy, 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 policy. And if you're terrible on policy, I just, I mean, I wish you well, but not politically. I mean, I wish you well in your personal life, but I'm going to wish you, Caitlyn Jenner, political failure, just like I will favor political failure for any Republican running, and for that matter, any corporate Democrat running for any office. Um, I just do, and that's where I stand. Anyway, if you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you disagree with me, well, you know, it is what it is. Just comment anyway. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you that if you're passionate about something, please create a platform and utilize it because we're the muckrakers of our time. And once again, urge each and every one of you to subscribe and hit that notification bell. And until next time, I am American Social Democracy. Peace, class struggle yesterday, class struggle today, class struggle tomorrow, and class struggle until we reach full economic and social justice for all.